what we can do for you today, this is Right Club. This is Right
Yes.
Club. So what we can do together as a family, we can be with Ali, we can be with each other. Ledry Damien's in, and can I say, Elaine, my sister from another mister, is here. I love you, Elaine. Do you want to say hello to the universe, Elaine?
Hi, greetings from Canada. I'm on Treaty 6 territory, and which is Edmonton, Alberta. And sorry I couldn't make it last week, but I've got my list of articles ready, and I even started writing the intro to the Underclass Sisterhood of Solidarity is where we're going to start.
And what a place to start Right Club. So the first thing we need to do, by the way, what's the first rule of Right Club?
Right. Right.
See, Megan, thank you. See, right. What's the first rule of Right Club?
Right.
Right, thank you. Right, yeah, thank you. We'll get this right. But can I say thank you so much for all the wonderful colleagues who have joined us for Right Club this week. We are thrilled, we're excited. I've got a big plan in place. I'm going to finish an article that I'm writing with Eunice and Kate now. It's going to be a big day. I also want to do a shout out. Who knew this was a thing? This is a thing to all the people who join us for Right Club, but asynchronously. So in their particular time zone, they use the video that we're about to create live, and they then are part of our community, and they write with us for 30 minutes, and they're starting to leave comments at the end of the video. So particularly to Vic, we think you're amazing, Vic, and we are with you, and I hope you have a wonderful Saturday morning with us when you're writing with us. So colleagues, this is the rule. As we know, we now go into sort of relatively silent mode for 29 minutes together as a family. We work hard, and at that 29-minute mark, I'll say a minute to go, and then we come back together and we have a chat about the fabulous things you have done. So colleagues, thank you for joining me once more. Let's change the world one word at a time. Let's do this. Right Club 2 begins. Go for it. See you in 29 minutes.
Hello.
Hi, Bess, darling, we're into writing now, darling. So for 29 minutes, it's wonderful to see you. I love that top. 29 minutes. See you shortly.
Done.
Go for it. You're a star. Last minute, colleagues. And we are completed. How did everybody go? Are we all right? Do I get a... Fantastic. Well, Bess is staring at me now. So Bess, we'll start with you because you're just magnificent. How did you go? What were you writing on and how did you find it? What did you do, Bess? Sound, good stuff.
I am working on I'm actually working on the introduction to my thesis. I am a newly minted candidate from Macquarie University. It's taken me a while to get to this stage, and yep, cross fingers, given what I heard last night, I'll actually be able to carry on forward, because that's a scary bit of news that I received. But yeah, I'm currently working on the argument portion of my introduction, and I've got, let me see, about 376 words and a fair bit of
about 376 words.
Well,
That's
376, that's a dragon count on Word.
I always trust dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, so my thesis is about the earliest histories of the Girl Guides, and
Wow.
the story that was never told about how they were formed.
Can you tell us a little bit of that, just even from the introduction?
Okay. Oh, yeah. So the short version is that all of us as members of the movement, because I've been a member on and off, in two big lumps since I was 11 years old. I'm now 43, and a leader of 10 years, that 6 girls gate crashed a rally for boys scouts in 1909 and said, "Please, sir, we want something for the girls," to Lord Robert Baden-Powell. This is not 100% true. Hi, Gay. Gay's another Girl Guide leader. And very
the Girl Guides are infiltrating.
Yeah.
That was always going to happen.
And so we know that there were between 60 and 250 girls at that rally who were in their officially released uniform. They were allowed to take part in the competitions. In fact, they won the competitions. That Baden-Powell was perfectly willing to come and inspect those groups. But what is, so this is, I'm going back to primary sources, to journalism of the time. Let's forget about what was written after 1932, right, when this story was first perpetrated on 500 million girls since. And let's have a look at the formative years. And there are 4 other focus organisations that I'm looking at. So they are the Australian League of Girl Aids, started in Sydney about 4 months before the Crystal Palace rally, based on scouting for boys. And they were thought to have shut themselves down when the First World War started. Turns out, no. They actually became the first branch of what is now the International Junior Red Cross. and the Red Cross doesn't know this.
Bess.
Yeah, the Girl Scouts who were running around in England before then, and the Parents National Education Union Scouts, which was a co-ed group started by a woman called Charlotte Mason, who knew Robert Baden-Powell and started it through the schools. One of those schools my grandmother went to in the 1930s.
Oh, Bess, I don't know about anybody else. My life has transformed in this conversation so far. So you've captured all of that in your introduction, and I can see a certain physicist terribly excited that he's got friends in New South Wales as well, Bess. So
You're a scout, sir.
I think Jamie's just excited to have any friends from New South Wales because he married a West Australian. I think he's
got two. We've got gay as well.
Oh, they're all going to gang up on the rest of us too, these New South Wales people, you Southerners. Oh, Bess, I'm excited. So, look, let's keep going with this introduction. And this is the dream of a thesis, isn't it? This is the dream. New primary sources, new interpretation. Oh, Bess, we're excited.
I'm terrified today because I just found out that the collection I've been trying to access for 10 years, which was supposed to be put into new housing at one of our training centres in the UK, is about to be put back in the salt mine. And how the heck do I get there before they do that? Because they're selling the premises where they were going to put it.
Look, get on Twitter. Get on Twitter and see if it's a place where they can be stored in a different location, even temporarily. We did some of that work with an Italian archive. Go on Twitter and see what can happen.
All right. Thank you.
You go, Bess. Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. This is fantastic. Oh, and look, I'll go straight to Lorraine. If Lorraine can say hello. Hello. How are you?
Hello, Tara. Lovely to meet you all.
Lovely to see you. And of course, we're back to that fantastic. I just want to be you. Look at that bookshelf.
Oh, yeah. That's the downstairs one. I've got some up. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I do love a book.
Oh, well, you're fantastic. So, Lorraine, I was watching you all the way through. It was like I was writing and I was like, isn't Lorraine intense? So what did you do during this morning?
I was just listening to Bess. So I'm in the AAFC, which is the Australian Air Force Cadet. So I have a history of Girl Guides, Girls Brigades. My children have been through it. So when anyway, I could talk to you for hours, Bess, so I won't take up the space here.
That's all right. We need to share context.
Just because, I'm just... The study that I'm actually doing now, I was also working on my introduction. So that was nice when you said that for my thesis. I'm looking at the veterans' mental health space, suicide specifically, and the role peer support plays within a specific group that I've managed. That's a very closed group that are opening their doors to me. So it's a very privileged area to work in. But down the track, I can see potential for so many other areas that we can learn information about, like, even with the young cadets, how many of them actually transition into defence, what's that experience like, and tracking mental health. And so in my day role, I'm a clinical supervisor and a counsellor, so that's where my passion comes from, mental health. Yeah, it's just a little snapshot of me. And thank you so much. Can I just say one thing, Tara? Because
anything, Lorraine, anything.
It's a safe space for me to say this because I don't think anybody else would understand. But I'm actually in love with my PhD. Is that normal?
Yes.
Question my mental health, because I'm thinking if I say that to my friends, they'd be going, "Yeah, you've lost it, love. You've lost it."
No, because Lorraine, doing a PhD is a privilege.
It is.
It is a privilege. It is
Absolutely.
a privilege to have one moment in our lives where we can use the top bit of our brain and challenge ourselves.
Yes.
It's a gift.
Okay, thank you.
Can I say that the degree is gifted with you? You are absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I tell you what, it's a great space, this Write Club, to write introductions to. I was just doing a fine edit of mine, but it's great for beginnings and endings. So if you can plan to write introductions in this space, it works so well. Oh, you're a legend, Lorraine. And look, can we go to the wonderful Wumi if she'd like to say hi? She didn't show us fabulousness. So Wumi, how are you? Do you want to wave and say hello? Even demute a little bit? Or has Wumi ghosted us? Have you got? We'll come back if we can. We'll come back if we can. Maeve, do you want to say hello in the mitigating period? Because obviously you are the star of Write Club. Do you want to just say hello?
I thought the link was mitigating because I use a mitigating journal.
Yes, nice one.
Yeah, so I have had a tough week. I can let that go. But I woke up quite early this morning before my exercise, and I restructured my article.
Oh.
And then I thought, and I was like pumped to sit down and actually write. So I restructured sort of, and then I've started filling in the gaps. So although not mega amount of, I mean, when I used to reflect in the write 750 words in half an hour.
Yes.
But this is not like that. So
no.
But I feel very, very pleased. I can see the new structure.
Yeah. And look, mate, the shaping is crucial, because if you try to write an article or a chapter and you can't see the shape of it, then you feel quite paralyzed, right? So
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So I think you've done incredibly well. And of course, we're working on, I think Jamie's now written his piece, so he's putting pressure on us, Maeve. So we're getting ready. So you go for it. We'll ignore him. Just ignore him.
No, we won't ignore you, Jamie. You know that.
We'll write in our own time. But no, Maeve, you're doing well.
Yeah, and pumping through the articles, and so I am definitely quite and solid. The new podcast is called Solid, so it's totally solid.
and you are solid, and you had a solid week. I'm just laughing. Oh, you're funny. You're the best, mate. And look, shall we quickly go to Queen Mary, who's got a question about publishing, writing, and copyright, as you would. So, Mary, say hello and say how you went first this week in Write Club, but then let's talk about the question. So, what's happening to you, Mary? So, what did you work on this week, Mary?
I'm just starting to write up sort of a large element of my thesis, just some ideas, and it's really interesting because I'm really at the start of this, and I'm starting to realize that as you start writing about all of your research, which you've been discussing over and over again and making points on to get your confirmation of candidature,
yes,
it's actually different when you're writing it up, because I immediately started thinking, I need to look at this, and I haven't looked at that, and I better look further into this. So it's definitely going to be directing my research as I continue on through this year.
And enjoy the tentacles. Don't think you've got to deny the tentacles. As I always say, write until you're exhausted. So write until you're exhausted, and it'll go somewhere. But that's great, Mary. So you're doing really well. So what's the copyright issue you've got? Oh my goodness.
My question is that I'm doing a lot of background research for my thesis, which will not end up in it because it's just going to be way too broad for the thesis topic.
Yes.
But it is very relevant to Western Australian history, and also information that a lot of people don't know on colonial violence.
Wow.
And I'm by profession a web developer. So I am thinking of putting up a website with some of this researched information in it.
Yes.
I know I could do articles and stuff like that, but I'm kind of motivated by the fact that in 2029, it'll be 200 years since Perth was founded.
Yes.
And I just wouldn't be able to write an article on every single piece of colonial violence that happened, but I would have a one-page of information about each violent incident. And I'm thinking of putting it up on a website with references so that people in general can see it and understand that it happened and look at the stuff that's backing it up.
That's tremendous, Mary. So I think that's great. Are you worried? Do you want other people to use it, or are you worried that they will? So
No, I do want them to use it, but I may then also use it later on, because the thing is, one thing about this research is that it's very under-researched, and people are not seeing patterns with the colonial violence that will only become apparent as more stuff comes out, if you get what I mean. So I won't see the patterns until it's all out there as well. And then you could do a much higher treatment of that colonial violence and the policies and why it was this way in Western Australia and similarities with other states and stuff like that, which may end up being my PhD. because I'm doing a master's.
It'll be books and so forth. So the first thing you need to know in the Australian context, for our colleagues around the world, it's a bit different. But in Australia, students own their own IP unless they sign it away. And if they're going to sign it away, they have to do it real early, right? So in other words, you own your own IP. In terms of copyright, what I would simply do on the website is be very clear that you are the curator of this information, have your name and a date on it. And a lot of the work I've done with Maeve, when we've had ideas, we've done it in a dated public podcast with a URL so that she can reference it later on, and also that it's captured that this is her work. So as long as you're very clear on it, it's your IP, but make sure in the one pages and the documents that you are curating that you very clearly have your name on it, you have a URL on it, and you date it. And I think that's very generous. Sorry, Maeve, were you going to pop in something there?
So, I'm sorry to you. But Mary, I think that's, beyond fascinating work, like I heard you talk about it in the last group. And I have a whole lot of things that I've written in my time within the PhD. And except that the podcast is very interesting because Jamie, Tara and I are looking into that theoretically. And it is actually published and fully claimable. And yet I'm still really careful. I don't talk. I have a personal and professional embargo on my novel. So I'm not going to, there'll be clues, but there won't be anything substantial because this is our publishable work. And, we've discussed that thing as mature age learners as well. If you're a mature age learner, then this is like your go. That's how I see it. This is my turn. This is my go. I waited a lifetime for this. So personally, I would look at other media platforms, multiliteracies, multimodalities, and I would not be putting that on a website too soon. There's so many opportunities that will come for you over the next few years. I'd hold back.
And also, Mary, if you want to get it out there, I'm with Maeve. Maeve is very cautious because obviously she's got a literary artifact. But Mary, having a blog might be a way to do it because obviously it codifies it. Also, Substack, I can recommend if you'd like to go and put some of that work professionally and link back. That's also an option for you, because that's protected and controlled, and it is your work. So,
where's Substack?
Substack. If you put it into Google, it's this fantastic sort of community collective of blogs that also have a revenue stream if you so choose.
Okay.
So just have a look at a bit. Your own blog on your own website would do it, and that therefore allows you to control the dissemination as well.
Can I say, please, whatever you do, Mary, make sure there is a copyright symbol and a date on it. Yeah, the other thing that you need to remember is anything you put up on the internet can and will be stolen.
So in this case, I think it's quite good if it's stolen, because it's information that is hidden in archives, and it will, of course, be background. And but I'll probably, I might write a whole page on my website. It'll just be one sentence in my thesis. This happened on this date and blah, blah, blah.
And Mary, of course, in the thesis, you can link to the blog or link to the document from the thesis. That's what I call the porous PhD. So they undulate.
And I'm very interested in multimedia ways of presenting information as well. And I actually would love it if you talked a bit more about that in, say, one of your vlogs, about multimedia. And also, you have previously spoken about working on articles, putting them up on somewhere and getting feedback as well.
Yes.
And I find that very interesting as well.
Yes, the Better Article Movement, BETA, Better Articles. That's fantastic. Mary, you have a deal. I'm writing all of this down. You've got a deal. That is fantastic. We have two Janes on the call too. When one Jane is not enough, can we talk with both our Janes? So Jane Fung, who is a legend. How are you, Jane? Are you well? Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for giving us the space. I feel so happy to join the talk before and having some writing done with this time. Thank you so much.
So what are you writing on? How did it go? What did you write on, Jane?
I'm writing on the translation and conceptual metaphor of Vietnam and in Vietnamese and English. And because in Vietnamese, we are seeing the world horizontally as the river. It's so difficult to translate that into English where we see things vertically. So
you changed my life last week. Whenever I've been seeing water, I've thought of you, to be honest. I've seen a lot of water this week, and I've gone, Jane. But tell us a little bit more about, because I mean, I'm fascinated in how the translation operates in the thesis. I haven't seen enough of those, Jane, so I'm going to learn a lot from you. How the translation itself becomes the original contribution to knowledge. So
yeah.
how are you shaping that in terms of originality in and around the translation? Have I asked you a too silly a question?
No, that's very good questions, Tara, and it's the problem that I'm having, but I'm happy so much about that problem because this means there's a difference. So in English, when we see that we reach the top of the hills and going down, like I talked to my friends last time, that's the reach of the career and talk about the success in life. But if you are traveling in the river, that top is not relevant. It's the distance that you travel, and the closer you get to the sea, the better. But it's so difficult to see from the vertical to the horizontal one. That's why I'm having so much a headache of what could I do, and my writing is not flowing because with each translation there's background information, the different possible way of translation and the specific context where the participant using that, but I'm trying my best.
Now, Jane, so you've got me thinking, I'll be thinking about that all week. Is there any way, and I'm sure, Elaine will come in a second and help us, but, is a matrix model for organising it going to work for you, or almost a smash cut model? We almost have to come up with a metaphor or a trope and almost the way you're going to be writing this thesis, that's also an original contribution to knowledge.
Thank you so much, Tara. Right now, a table comparing the journey in the water and the journey on land is very helpful, where we can see who are the traveler. Instead of traveler, they are the swimmer, or what kind of vehicle that they are traveling. Instead of the carriage, they are using the boats, for example. So all of these are making so much sense for me right now, but writing is hard.
But it is, and can I say, Jane, you have made me so much smarter than I was before I met you. You have changed my brain. Just hashtag no pressure. Wow. Oh, I'm going to be seeing water in all sorts of different ways. I'm going to be swimming. I'm going to be swimming this week. You're the best, Jane. Should we have a hello to our other Jane, the legendary Jane Garner? No pressure, Jane. How great was Jane Fung? My goodness, Jane. How did you go this week, mate?
I'm more of a wine person than a water person, but it's very nice to meet you, other Jane.
And you're swimming through that.
Oh my goodness. With a bit of luck, yes.
Oh.
So I'm a full imposter at this point because I'm not writing a thesis. But I just crashed the group because it's okay. So I'm writing, doing some research on my area is looking at the role of books, libraries, and reading in prisons. And at the moment, I'm looking at how the custodial staff work as enablers or barriers to prisoners getting education and opportunities to read.
Jane, I'm obsessed by that topic. I again, if I had enough life left in me, that's been one of my things. I've only written one article in my life on prisons and the creative industries and how we enable and scaffolding and glams and prisons and oh my goodness me. So, where will this work end up going? Obviously not a doctorate, but where's it going to go?
Well, yeah, it's a difficult one because if I write these things for the Departments of Justice, they end up in filing cabinets. So I have to be really careful about where I put things, and also I have to be able to get access to the staff that work in these facilities. So if I'm too critical, they start shutting the doors. So yeah, it's a real balance about how to write it and where to write it, but that's okay. I'll just keep plugging away.
You're a superstar. And again, as Mary and Maeve have talked about, maybe there's a different dissemination protocol too. Maybe there's some podcasting in your future. with a very short Australian Dean of Graduate Studies that you know. I'm terribly interested in this. So I think finding different audiences, different dissemination rivers, to quote the other Jane, might be the way forward. I'm so excited, Jane.
Me too. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. And was it useful? Did you get a fair amount out of it in terms of a writing experience?
Yeah, definitely. Yep, it's nice to have company. I work on my own at home. So yeah, I'm with Charles Sturt University, but I work remotely from my organisation. So it's nice to have the company. Thank you.
You've got us forever. We are your company. That is brilliant. And look, our last couple of wonderful humans we'll talk with. There's so many people I want to talk to, but we've got two wonderful humans. We need to talk with Gay and with Elaine. So Gay, how did you go and look at those books? I'm just weeping with excitement with your book. So how did you go, Gay?
You should. I actually have more than 60 bookcases in my house.
Oh yes. Oh.
Floor to ceiling. How did I go? I have been struggling with this paper for a very long time. I've got so much written, but it's not in any particular form, and I realised that I've written the same thing twice in pages 10 and pages 23.
Oh.
So last night I actually came up with, redid the outline. Today I was working on the introduction, the revised introduction according to the outline, and yay, it's flowing. Yes.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Gay, if it ever happens again, one other strategy I've used, because I'm this sort of person, is I print it out and I cut each paragraph. I separate each paragraph out and cut it out, put it over my floor, and I remember when we were kids, we used to play the match the card. So you put the card and you put the card and they match. So I sort of do that with writing. So that paragraph doesn't go with that one, it goes with that, and I actually can reconstruct the article on the floor.
Yeah, well, I am a professional editor too, which makes it easier for me to actually look at it and say, okay, well, that one doesn't work. But I've had a dreadful month, and my head has not actually been in it, but it's now working. Yes.
You're back on your game. Waitoa Gay, we did this together. We'll feed off your energy. You're the best in the universe. And we'll finish off with the light of our lives, colleagues. Yes, Elaine, what were you writing on this week that's going to change our lives, Elaine?
So my PhD research was with women from poverty trying to get an education, a university education in Canada, looking at poverty discrimination in Canadian universities and more broadly society. Yes, nobody invites me to parties. Maeve would, though. You would, Tara. Anyway, this is all based. This is like the foundation of this research was Maria Lugonis, the late Maria Lugonis, this most brilliant philosopher who talks about women learning to love each other and world travel with loving perception. But we're taught, particularly women from poverty, to hate each other, surveil each other, report on each other, all this nightmare. And which is from generational poverty, which I had full disclosure in the context of this, and we're in a safe space. So this is a foundation, and from Maria Lugonis, using Maria Lugonis, we created the women in my research called Research Sisters, what we call the underclass sisterhood of solidarity.
Lovely.
So, but what I realized in writing tonight, I really need to do is this prologue piece.
Yes.
To the underclass sisterhood of solidarity, the painful journey to come to Maria Lugonis and accept Maria Lugonis's teachings.
Yeah.
That because I cannot just do a simple little tiny paragraph and go, okay, oh, good enough, thanks, Maria. No. It's much more too complex, and it needs its own space and own honoring of my late mother and my fraught relationship with my own embodied being.
Elaine,
and my failure to accept the gendered nature of poverty. It took me years to get to that. Sorry to interrupt, Tara.
No, don't.
But it was so difficult to focus on that gendered nature. So I feel this, prologue piece is what came out of tonight.
Elaine, I'm the biggest fan of prologue pieces. For colleagues that are thinking, how do I handle standpoint theory or positionality? How do I explore my subjectivity in a rigorous, transparent and clear way for the purposes of research? A prologue is a magnificent way to configure a lens into that research. So Elaine, I think, has just given us all this incredible inspiration for the week going forward. I'm so devastated. I didn't get to talk to Adrian. I didn't get to talk to Damien. I didn't get to talk to Megan. I'm so excited. You're all amazing. And colleagues, I thank you once more for keeping us all company with each other. You are all spectacular human beings. You are transforming not only my week, you are transforming my life. And I thank you so much for you. And I thank you for all that you do. And see you next Friday at Right Club. And by the way, what's the first rule of Right Club?
Right.
Damien, that's why I need you, brother. Rock and roll. Colleagues, have a lovely week. See you next Friday. Much.
Take care.
Thank you for doing this.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye.
Thank you.